a meeting, a direct contact for Chelsea to discuss Jhon Durán, the Colombian striker of Aston Villa. The news was already reported by The Telegraph. We can confirm that there is an interest in Jhon Durán. At the moment, Chelsea have not decided yet whether they want to proceed, whether they want to have just a conversation. Nothing is done, nothing is advanced, nothing is decided. But some conversation took place for Jhon Durán. Chelsea are interested in the player. They discussed him internally. Let's see if they will decide to proceed with a bid, with a negotiation. But for sure, there will be a contact to understand the conditions of the deal and then what Chelsea want to do with Jhon Durán.
Thank you, Fabrizio, for that update. And Chelsea fans, what do you make of that? Jhon Durán, 20 years of age, played 14 games this season, scored a couple of goals for Aston Villa. But is that really the striker reinforcements Chelsea need this January? Is that really a sensible investment? Another young, raw, inexperienced player being purchased by Chelsea Football Club. I need to understand your views and opinions on that. We're going to delve into that story in more detail. We're going to look at Arsenal, Man United, and Chelsea, also linked to Callum Wilson of Newcastle. We're looking at the Gallagher situation because it does appear now, according to some really credible sources, that deal is on and that deal could happen with him potentially joining Tottenham. And ChoupoMoting to Manchester United is a real possibility. Hit like buttons, subscribe. This is the Done Deal Show. Strikers are at the forefront of conversations at the moment. As we've heard from Fabrizio Romano, Jhon Durán to Chelsea is a possibility. Another story here that's powered and put together by Nazir Kinsella, a very credible journalist indeed, is that Chelsea, Arsenal, and Manchester United on alert over Callum Wilson. Newcastle could sell Wilson for just 18 million in the final week of the January transfer window, with Chelsea, Arsenal, and Man United all alert to his availability, which essentially means, I know not everybody is a fan of the buzzwords, but ignore them. The clubs are looking at this as a potential possibility. And even with this deal, you're looking at an individual that are just looking over the last 4 seasons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 hamstring strains or injuries in the last 4 years, 31 years of age. Look, a good goal scoring record, there is no doubt, but an injury record that is as long as your arm. You've got Duran linked to clubs, who's an absolute, he's a talent, but he's young and he's raw. Is he really going to move? Is he better than Eddie Nketiah? Is he better than Nico Jackson? These are the questions you've got to ask, whether it be through injuries and availability or actual ability. Are these players that the Arsenals, the Chelseas, the Man United is linked to genuinely good enough to move the needle? Is it worth the investment? Is it worth spending 18 million pound on Callum Wilson? Is it worth spending 18, 20, 25 million pound on Duran? Is it worth the salary? Especially as these clubs seemingly are talking to Benzema, but are like, no, I don't really fancy it. Benzema is better than all of these players if he had one leg. If he had one leg. It's a confusing one for me. Everyone goes FFP and the money. Okay, if the Saudi team are asking Arsenal or Chelsea to pay the £1 million a week salary, I get it. I agree. But I doubt they're asking for that. I think Callum Wilson, as I say, decent goal scorer. I'm actually looking here at his stats for just his goals. Forget everything else he's good at. 30 goals in 67 appearances for Bournemouth, 46 goals in 102 appearances for Newcastle. Decent return. I'm not challenging that in any way, any shape, or any form. Is he going to stay fit for the rest of the season? Genuinely, just looking at this campaign alone, he's already had 3 injuries, 2 of which were hamstrings that have seen him miss 41 days. And by the way, he's currently out, according to Transfer Market, with a calf strain since the 26th of December. So you've somebody that's missed So far this season, 73, 74 days of football and counting. How much of the season are you actually going to get out of him? Forget the football for a moment. He's a crock. He's a crock now. And listen, I very much doubt that Callum Wilson's watching. Tremendous career. I wish I was as talented as him. I wish I was as good looking as him. I wish I was as wealthy as him. I wish I was as successful as him. It's not about digging the player out. I'm genuinely not digging him out as a man, as a person. I'm not slagging his career off. I'm talking about the feasibility, the practicality, almost the application of this deal once it completes. I think Wilson would jump at the chance to join any of these three historic clubs. You know, I'm not too sure on the rules around playing in the Carabao Cup because he's already played in it with Newcastle. But, you know, Chelsea in a cup final, Arsenal in a title race, maybe not so much Man United involved in anything this year. We're still in the FA Cup as an example. But with new owners coming in, of course, I think he'd jump at the chance to play for these clubs. What a great thing to put onto your CV. And I'm sure when available, he'll score goals. But people asked me in the summer, would I take Neymar at Man United? And I said, for the cost of the player, considering on average, I believe it was 16 to 17 games per season he starts. The rest of the time he's away injured. Said it isn't worth the investment because you're only going to get him for a third of the season. And I feel like Callum Wilson, look, he's nowhere near as good as Neymar. You'll understand the point I'm making in a moment. I didn't want Neymar because he was going to miss two-thirds of the season every year. I definitely wouldn't want a Callum Wilson with the amount of time that he spends out. But Chelsea fans, Arsenal fans, you may see this very differently to me. Let me know in the comments section below. Now, staying with Chelsea, David Ornstein has said that Tottenham may be able to get a deal for Chelsea midfielder Conor Gallagher sorted before the end of the transfer window. Similar is echoed here by Matt Law that says it is expected that there will be a late flurry in the transfer activity at Chelsea towards the end of the window, with midfielder Conor Gallagher's future still unclear and Chelsea willing to allow Trevor Chalobah to leave. So two big, solid, credible reports today that Conor Gallagher could be on his way out. And some Chelsea fans are up for this. I don't know if some of you in the comments section will say, yep, this is the right move. I advocate this. I support this. It's right. I get ya. I get ya. I know where you're coming from. But I don't know if it's right for you this season. I don't know if that's right for Chelsea at this point. Lavia continually injured. And Kunku continually injured this year. Listen, Cole Palmer playing in that more advanced role makes more sense. Enzo and Caicedo are superior to Gallagher. And I think long-term, I think you have to look for better than Conor Gallagher. I really do. I'm sorry to all the proper Chelsea lads that back him because he's from Cobham. But I think it's a bit premature. Equally, Spurs fans, what do you make of this deal? Spurs are one of the wealthiest clubs in the world. They've got one of the highest turnovers in the world. Brennan Johnson, Timo Werner, Conor Gallagher. Should the bar for the players you're buying be higher? If your club is aspiring to catch the Man Cities, the Liverpools, the Arsenals, finish above them, win more trophies than them over a 4, 5, 6 year period, do you have to be aiming for players who are I mean, they wouldn't get anywhere near any of those teams, any of those squads. Even players an echelon up or two up the scale wouldn't get into those teams. How do you all feel about it? How do you feel about those links? Or is this a case of, in your eyes, I trust Big Ange Postecoglou, I'm getting behind it? Give me your opinions in the comment section below. Let me know what you think and you feel. Now, another story that's transpired, this comes from the brilliant Fraser Fletcher, that Manchester United are set to imminently make a move for Bayern Munich striker Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting. Now, I'm not going to suddenly sit here and be a hypocrite. I'm not going to suddenly sit here and look at the Callum Wilson situation and look at his unavailability, his age. I'm not going to look at the Duran situation with Chelsea and say he's raw and there's problems with it, and then not sort of look at Choupo-Moting. Now, Choupo-Moting doesn't have well, this season, I mean, he's had a fair amount of injuries in his career, two or three a year. None that have been overly prolonged in terms of missing games, but he's had that. But I look at ChoupoMoting from a very different situation. I look at his look 38 goals in 100 plus games for Bayern Munich isn't too bad. 9 goals for Paris Saint-Germain. He did okay. I mean, he did absolutely awfully at Stoke, in my opinion. But this is, again, he's better than Wout Weghorst. There's no doubt about that in my life. But this is another uninspiring, unimaginative, poor quality move by Man United. Now, I understand that the new owners are in. I agree and I concur that I don't want us to spend exorbitant amounts of money on the wrong type of target. It's just underwhelming. So I kind of understand the situation that we're in. And again, I view our situation very differently to Chelsea's, whose new owners have been in a while. The plan's been in place. They're sticking by Poch as things stands. The situation at Arsenal was different. For how long the owners have been there, the manager has been there, the plan that's in action. Man United scenario is different, so therefore your reaction should not be equally the same because the new owners have come in. They've got to get all their ducks in a row before they start making big moves. But it's still an uninspiring move for me. However, Anthony Martial now out for 10 weeks. Plus, in my opinion, that'll be season done. By the time he actually gets match fit again, you're talking 3 months' time. Then we're going to be at the end of April. We may never see him kick a ball for Manchester United again. It could be to that point. So we need to bring a body in. I'm just relatively uninspired by this. I would like us still to go for Karim Benzema, not because of his name. By the way, there's only about 18 months or so difference in age, or a couple of years difference in age, maybe a push between the two players. I would still rather see us go for Karim Benzema. And I'm talking about bringing in that star quality, that know-how for the likes of Rashford, for the likes of Rasmus Højlund, more so to learn from. But that's just me. As ever, my people, I appreciate your views. I appreciate your opinions. Then, actually, more important than mine, really, what you all think and what you feel. Please hit the like button before you go. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you in a bit. Peace.